My best friend tells me to get over it when I find out she's dating my abusive ex, who caused me to lose my pregnancy and blamed me for it. I've tried writing this so many times and I always break down halfway through, so I'm gonna do my best to stay calm and just write what happened. It's not going to be polished or pretty to read, I'm still in shock. For context, I'm 36 now. I was with my ex, Trent, from 22 to 27. In the beginning, he was charming, everything I thought I wanted. He'd show up at my work with coffee, compliment me in front of my friends, tell me how lucky he was to have me. To someone who grew up with emotionally absent parents, that felt like love, real love. Looking back now, I know it was manipulation and control. Slowly, the sweet comments turned into backhanded digs. If I didn't answer a text right away, it was because I was cheating. If I dressed up to go out, it was because I was looking for male attention. I stopped wearing makeup, stopped going out unless he was with me. Let friendships die because he made it unbearable to talk to any guy. That was the start of the emotional abuse, and it only got worse from there. Senior year of college, the physical abuse started. It began with him brushing past me, shoving me out of the way. Then a hand around my arm during arguments, then slaps, then punches, always followed by apologies and declarations of love, sometimes even tears. It messed me up. I believed I made him angry, that I wasn't good enough, that if I tried harder, things would go back to how they were. I got pregnant during our 5th year together. I was terrified. I knew in my gut it wasn't going to be safe, but I was also hopeful, stupidly thinking that maybe parenthood would change him, that maybe a child would soften him. Instead, it made everything worse. He blamed me for every symptom I had. Morning sickness, I was being dramatic. If I cried, I was unstable. If I tried to lie down because I was exhausted, he called me lazy. He even accused me of trying to trap him, like I got pregnant on purpose. One night, we had a fight that escalated. He'd found texts from Tammy, my best friend since high school, just asking how I was and if I needed anything. He accused me of telling her lies about him. I hadn't, not the full extent. I vented, yes, but I was still too ashamed to admit the full truth, even to her. That night, he grabbed my phone, smashed it, and shoved me so hard I hit the edge of the countertop. I felt immediate pain in my stomach, a deep cramp that wouldn't go away. I was 24 weeks pregnant. I lost the baby the next day, alone. He didn't take me to the hospital, I drove myself. When I told him, he shrugged and said I probably did something to cause it, that maybe I didn't care about the baby enough and God took it away. That stuck with me like a knife I still can't pull out. That was the breaking point. I knew if I stayed, I would be next. So, I planned my escape. I started stashing tip money in a tampon box. I worked nights and weekends at a restaurant, and he never checked there. I applied to a few shelters out of state. I started leaving important documents at a friend's house without him knowing. I got a new phone, a burner, and left the old one at home the night I left so he couldn't track me. I waited until he was at work, packed what I could in a bag, and disappeared. Tammy was the first person I contacted. She didn't know the full extent of what I'd been through. I told her everything. She was devastated and cried with me. She helped me get therapy. She texted me every day just to check in. She even helped me file a restraining order. She was the constant in my life for the years that followed. When she got a job in London and moved, we still stayed close. I visited her once, she visited me twice. I trusted her more than anyone. So, when she came to stay with me last month for a few days, nothing seemed weird. We were catching up, watching movies, drinking wine, laughing like always. The third night, she got a little drunk and went quiet. I could tell something was off, and then it came out. She told me she'd been seeing someone for almost a year, someone I knew. She eased into it at first, then just blurted it out, my abusive ex, Trent. I thought I was having a stroke. My whole body went numb. I didn't even process the rest of what she said because I was already gasping for air. She kept talking, said she ran into him during a visit home, and that he seemed different. He went to church now, said he was so sorry for everything, claimed he'd found God, and apparently she bought it. Not only did she buy it, she fell in love with him. She said she hadn't told me before because she didn't know if it was going to last and didn't want to hurt me unnecessarily, but now they were serious. She said she thinks he's her person. I kicked her out of my house right then. I didn't yell or get angry, I just told her to leave. Since then, she's sent a few texts, telling me I'm being dramatic, that I'm holding on to the past, that he regrets everything and wants to make amends, that I should be happy for her, that she found love. I told her that if she truly believed he'd changed, she could believe it somewhere else, away from me. She just keeps telling me to get over it. The worst part is, my family found out. Some of them still talk to me, despite the distance. They're very religious and are siding with Tammy, saying that people change, that I need to learn to forgive, that it's been years. I feel like I'm losing my mind, like the world has turned upside down. Tammy was the one who held me when I was shaking and scared. She was the one who helped me find my voice again, and now she's sharing a bed with the man who ruined me, who took my child from me, who made me believe I wasn't worthy of love and was disposable. How do you get over that? I don't know if I'm looking for advice or validation, maybe both. All I know is I don't feel safe anymore. Not in my body, not in my life. They keep saying I should move on, but how can I move on when people are now siding with the person who almost destroyed me? So Reddit, am I wrong for cutting my friend off, for not being able to forgive? Am I being too emotional? I just want to know if anyone else sees how messed up this is, or if it really is me holding on to pain I should have let go of by now. Edit. A lot of people have asked why I didn't press charges against my ex after I escaped. This is one of the things I skipped over because of my nerves. I had intended to do it while thinking about how I was going to write this post, but I simply forgot. Yes, I filed a report, but it went nowhere. Trent was investigated, but didn't receive any punishment. For the police, there wasn't enough evidence that I lost the pregnancy because of his hit, as it could have been due to stress or something else. They even talked to the nurses who treated me, and it was useless. This post wouldn't exist if justice worked as it should have just once. Before continuing, don't forget to subscribe. New stories every day. Update 1. First of all, thank you from the bottom of my heart to everyone who commented on my original post. Right now, I'm getting more support from strangers than from the person who was supposed to be my friend. I read every single reply, even the ones that called me out for staying so long. Some of you helped me name things I didn't even know I was still carrying. I've been in therapy for years, but it's different when strangers validate your pain without a hidden agenda. Thank you. I wish I could say the fallout stopped after I kicked Tammy out. I really do. But it's like she took my silence as permission to go full speed ahead. She didn't disappear, she got louder. Tammy started posting things on Instagram, not directly at me, but close enough that I knew it was about me. Things like, when you heal, you stop blaming others. Also things about not staying stuck in the past. It felt like watching someone use my trauma as part of their personal PR campaign. And then came the picture, a black and white post of just her holding a man's hand. You couldn't see his face, but I recognized it instantly. That scar on his thumb from when Trent broke a bottle at a party. The comments were full of hearts and praise. So happy for you, you deserve love, God always has a plan. I felt like someone had ripped open my old wound and poured acid in it. That same day, she posted a group picture, her, Trent, and her entire family. The same people who looked me in the eye and called me a liar when I left him. Who emailed my parents accusing me of cheating on him. Who posted on Facebook that some women cry abuse when they can't handle the consequences. They were smiling next to Tammy like nothing had ever happened, like I never existed. And it got worse. A college friend I hadn't spoken to in years messaged me out of the blue. She said she'd seen Tammy in our old college town last year. They'd run into each other at a bookstore and Tammy had casually mentioned she was seeing someone from her past. She hadn't registered it at the time, but now realized it was Trent. So this wasn't new. This relationship hadn't started by accident. She'd been involved with him, at least emotionally, for over a year, while texting me, while video chatting, while telling me how much she missed me. I messaged her after that, not confrontational, just asking why she lied for so long. Her response: "You're too obsessed with the past, that's why you're still stuck." Maybe if you'd forgiven him sooner, this wouldn't hurt so much. You need to move on. I showed the message to my therapist. She just looked at me and said, "This isn't about healing, they're just trying to take control of the narrative." 3 days ago, my therapist's office contacted me. She messaged me herself, not with details, but to warn me that someone had called, pretending to be my sister. They asked the receptionist for resources for a woman struggling with trauma, pregnancy loss, and obsessive jealousy. The receptionist was savvy enough to recognize something wasn't right. They flagged it, and my therapist checked the call logs. She's 90% sure it was Tammy. She didn't say it outright, but I could read between the lines. I haven't felt this unsafe since I left Trent. I've started double-checking locks. I don't open the blinds anymore. I sleep with a noise machine to block out sounds I might hear. And the scariest part is how familiar this all feels, like I've stepped back in time without realizing it. I've talked to my therapist about moving again. I worked so hard to build this life here. I picked this city because I felt like no one from my past could end up here, but I was wrong. Tammy and Trent don't need to be in the same zip code to wreak havoc. They're doing it from afar and it's working. I'll post again if I have anything to report. Update 2. I wish I could say things are getting better. I wish I could write something about healing, peace, or at least distance. But instead, I feel like I'm trapped in this slow, suffocating nightmare where every week brings a new twist I never asked for. 3 days ago, I came home from work to find a letter waiting in my mailbox. No return address, just my name. But as soon as I touched it, I had this weird sinking feeling. It was from Trent. 5 whole pages, typed, not handwritten, because that would have made it personal, and that man has never taken genuine responsibility for anything. The text read like a self-congratulatory essay, the kind you write when you want to sound like you're apologizing without saying anything real. He opened by quoting the Bible, something about forgiveness and redemption and how God makes all things new. I didn't even read the whole thing at first. I scanned the first few lines, then skipped to the next page hoping there was at least one moment where he admitted something. Even just saying that he pushed me that night, that he ruined me, that he left me in a hospital bed alone after I lost our baby. But no, it was all vague nonsense. Phrases like, "I wasn't in a good place back then, and we were both hurting." As if I ever laid a hand on him. As if I ever tried to control his clothes, his friends, his entire life. As if I ever did anything but try to survive. He wrote that he was sorry I went through pain, not that he caused it, just that I went through it, like it was an act of God instead of an act of him. And then I got to the end of the letter. It's sickening. Tammy is pregnant. There was a final message, "This child is our second chance. I hope you can forgive us and be a part of our joy." Our second chance, as if what happened to me was just a failed attempt. As if their baby is a cosmic do-over and I'm the mistake that needed to be overridden. I've never told anyone this, but the pregnancy I lost with Trent was rough. I talked it at night when he was asleep. I picked out a name. I bought a little blue elephant onesie at a thrift store, the only baby thing I owned at the time. I kept it in the back of a drawer because I knew if Trent saw it he would either laugh at me or throw it away. I carried that child for almost 6 months, and when I lost it, I didn't just lose a pregnancy, I lost the version of myself that still had hope. Now Tammy, the one who was supposed to be my best friend, the only person I thought saw me through all that, is carrying his baby. And instead of acknowledging what they've done, they're treating it like their redemption story, like they've won something. After the letter, I didn't eat for a day. I didn't sleep. I just sat with this horror I thought I'd buried years ago. Then my phone rang. It was my mom. She said she saw Tammy's latest post, another pastel-filtered picture of her pregnant belly, with a caption about grace and miracles. And then she said, "It's time to stop being bitter. Clearly, God had a plan, you should be happy for them." I think I hung up mid-sentence. Since then, the nightmares have started again. I hadn't had them in years, but now I wake up drenched in sweat, heart pounding, sure I heard his voice outside my window or saw a shadow on my porch. I keep picturing the two of them showing up at my door, her holding the baby, him standing behind her, smiling, telling me the past doesn't matter, that we're all a family now, that I should come to the baby shower. I know it sounds irrational, but if you've never been through this kind of trauma, you don't understand how real those fears feel. It's not just paranoia, it's memory trying to protect you. My body remembers what my mind has tried to forget. I'm not angry they're together. I'm devastated that they're trying to erase what happened to me. They want to rewrite everything I went through and cast themselves as the righteous ones. Tammy gets to be the savior. Trent gets to be the changed man, and I'm just the bitter ex in all of this, the one who couldn't let go. I have let go, it's them who brought all this back. I've started researching out-of-state therapy retreats, somewhere quiet. I don't know if I'll go, but even just looking gives me something to hope for. I know I'm not okay, but I'm still here, I'm still standing. And for now, that has to be enough. Update 3. I'm not even sure where to start this update. Part of me wishes I didn't have to write this at all, but I feel like if I don't, everything will keep spinning out of control, and I'll never find the closure I'm looking for. A lot has happened in the last week, and when I say a lot, I mean asterisk a lot. Let's start with the therapy retreat. I did it. I packed a bag, left my apartment, and drove to a secluded center in another state. It's in the middle of nowhere, the kind of place you see in movies when someone is trying to figure their life out. I spent 5 days there, alone with my thoughts and a group of people who carried their own burdens. It was supposed to be healing, and in a lot of ways, it was. I had a breakthrough about how I was handling all of this. I even started writing in a journal again, something I hadn't done in years. But what I didn't expect was this. That retreat didn't heal me the way I thought it would. I thought it would give me a fresh start, that the space would allow me to release my anger, my grief, all the things I've been carrying for so long. But what it did was give me clarity. I realized something while I was there, after the group discussions and the one-on-one sessions with the therapists. This wasn't just about Trent anymore. It wasn't just about Tammy either. This whole situation was about me not owning my own voice. I spent so long trying to prove I wasn't crazy, trying to make everyone believe I had reasons to feel the way I felt, that in the process, I silenced myself. I let their version of events drown out mine, and I've been doing that for years. I've been trying to make people see my pain when the only person who needs to understand it is me. So I came back, not entirely whole, but with a sense of who I am again. A little stronger, a little more aware. But the minute I stepped off the plane, everything got complicated again. My phone had a dozen messages, but they weren't from friends, or even my parents. They were from Trent. He was calling and texting from a new number. Please call me back, we need to talk. I've been doing a lot of thinking, about you. I didn't even bother opening them, but it was the next one that shook me. It was a voicemail. The tone in his voice was different. I can't describe it well, but it felt like he was nervous, unsure of himself. For the first time, he was apologizing again. Saying things like, I know I messed up, I want to fix this. But then he said something about Tammy's pregnancy. Maybe it was the way he said it, almost like he was confessing to a crime. But I knew in that moment that nothing with him would ever be normal. I didn't answer any of Trent's calls. I just went home and sat in the silence, not knowing what to do. But the next morning, my mind was clear. It was time for the final confrontation. I called Tammy. I know, it sounds crazy, but I needed to hear it from her and tell her to stop dragging me into their relationship. I don't care my friend was with my ex, but I didn't want to be called or written about it just because she had to have my acceptance. When I called, I simply said, Tammy, we need to talk about Trent. About everything. She said, I don't think we can go back to how we were. It's not the same anymore. I can't pretend everything's okay. I told her I wasn't calling for that. We talked for hours. I'm not going to go into all the details, but what I learned shook me. Tammy had been struggling with guilt over what happened between us, over what happened to me. She admitted she knew something wasn't right with Trent's behavior, even with his supposed change. She kept saying she never meant to hurt me, but every time she said it, it felt like she was apologizing for the wrong thing. I told her, I'm done. I'm done trying to help you and I'm done feeling sorry for you. After that, things went quiet, really quiet. I haven't heard from Trent since that voicemail. I haven't heard from my family either. My mom hasn't called since I left for the retreat, and I haven't reached out to her. I think we both know what this silence means. I can't lie and say I'm over everything or that I'm healed, but this has been the hardest thing I've ever done. I think that last talk was closure we both needed, and I hope they'll stop seeking my forgiveness or whatever they want. If they're happy together, so be it. But I'm not going to ease their conscience by telling them I'm okay with it. I'm not okay with it, I don't think it's gonna be okay, and I don't want any part of it. Update 4. I promised I'd share how things have been, and I won't leave you hanging. Honestly, part of me wanted to just disappear after the last update, let everything go quiet, and move on without anyone knowing what happened. But honestly, this community has been amazing, so I figured, why not? First, let's talk about the fallout from that conversation with Tammy. After that call, everything seemed to shift almost overnight. I didn't feel better but I did feel more at peace. As for Trent and Tammy, I haven't heard a peep from them since the last update. I'm not sure if they're still together, but honestly, I don't care. They're not my problem anymore. The important thing, I think, is that I'm free. I'm not trapped in their drama anymore. I don't owe them anything. I just owe all of you who have supported me through this mess a huge thank you. You have no idea how much it's meant to me. This community gave me the strength to keep going, to keep fighting for myself, and I'm grateful for that. I know there's no perfect ending to this. There's no happy closure where everyone hugs it out and lives in peace. I've distanced myself from the chaos, cut off the cancers in my life, and I feel better. Update 5. A lot of healing has happened in these past 4 years, thanks to not having to relive my past with my ex or what my friend did in those first few updates. I've started a new relationship, after so many years of even refusing to go on a date. So things seem a bit brighter and happier for me now. But it wouldn't be one of my posts without a little drama or downside, though this is the first one where I'm not part of it, just watching from a distance. And I'm not surprised, not one bit. I saw in Tammy a version of myself, the difference being that I had people warning me and she didn't. I don't feel bad for what happened to her, or for what I did when I found out. I think my responsibility ended the day I told her it was a bad idea. But let me tell you what happened between them. Shortly after my post, I heard they moved in together. I think that when we started living together was when the more extreme violence started with him, and it must have been no different for Tammy. She quit her job in London and came back to the States to live with him, supposedly to be a housewife while Trent provided. Well, Tammy simply moved into hell. The only difference from my experience is that she did complete her pregnancy. Maybe Trent didn't want to have an abortion on his hands this time, or maybe she just got lucky. But after she brought their son into the world, things didn't get any better. Not only did he inflict violence on her, he now had a new target. All that church and finding God stuff? A facade. He was never religious with me, and according to Tammy, it was more about cleaning up his image. Their marriage, because they did get married before she gave birth, ended shortly after she sent their son to the hospital with a head injury. Here, at least, there was evidence of abuse, or at least evidence that could get the lazy butts of the police officers to move and do what they're paid for. Not just on the child, but also on Tammy. I think the fact that she stayed after the pregnancy made him feel powerful. In my case, he always made sure not to leave marks. And how'd I know all of this? Because Tammy came looking for help after escaping from him. He not only abused her, but also isolated her completely from everyone. She barely managed to escape him with a restraining order, which was risky to do before leaving the house. But it worked, and I was glad for that kid. The problem is that he left her without money and with nothing. She was even terrified of sleeping in that house. I know many will see me as the bad guy for not helping someone, especially after having gone through something similar. But this woman not only didn't listen to my warnings, but she mocked me, slept with my abuser behind my back, made fun of me on social media, and tried to make me look like the bad guy. I don't want to be related to any of this. Because it is no longer my obligation and because I'm doing it for my own mental health. At least my story has a happy ending because my ex was put in prison, and I hope he doesn't get out of there. I hope prison doesn't do a good job of rehabilitating him and sucks him into its darkness, never to be seen again.